Hey everybody, what is up and welcome back to the channel. And today I want to talk about how I actually hand forged my own knife. Now I did this several years ago with my brother. My brother several years ago started learning how to make knives, and I don't even remember when he really started, but when I did this with him and I started learning how to do it, was about 2017, I think. And anyway, he was learning and honing his skills how to be a blacksmith and be a master bladesmith or a journeyman, whatever they call that. I don't know. I'm not Mr. Expert Knife guy, but in the process of that, he actually started working at this one place in Alexandria. Well, not working there, just going there, and it was like a class you could take to learn how to forge, and he was learning there. And then he actually started a non-profit which is called Black Horse Forge. You guys can actually check that out. That's in I think the forge is in Fredericksburg now, but he started that. It's a veterans organization that brings veterans in and teaches them how to make knives and do hand forging stuff. Really cool. I will try to put a link down below to their stuff. I do believe he's got a website for that. But as he progressed through the forge and doing that stuff, now he's come into his own to making his own knives and stuff. And now he has a company called Jackalope Knives. And if you want to, I'll put a link down below for his website as well, down there for his Jackalope Knives. And you can also find his knives in Smoky Mountain Knife Works, which is super cool. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this story is because this story starts out as when he first started out and he hadn't gotten that far, and he was teaching me. He took me down to help me out. Now I have a bunch of injuries, so forging this knife was very hard for me because once he got things going and got there's like a hammer press. It's an electronic press. You can do the banging instead of swinging the hammer to hammer out the blade. But at the time I wasn't able to do this, so I actually had to do this with an actual hammer and holding it out. And it started out with a piece of steel, probably about this long and probably about that wide. So it's probably about 4 to 6 inches long piece of steel, and probably 2 inches wide, maybe 2 inches wide, maybe or so. It was a piece of steel, and that's what I made out of this blade. And we're talking about this little knife right here. And it started out as just a straight piece of steel, and then he showed me how to hammer it out into the shape that I wanted to it, how to heat it up, heat treat it, and then do the cooling process. There's a whole process that goes, and it's called squenching or quenching it, whatever. I'm not an expert at that stuff, but there's all these terms, and so the mosquitoes are trying to get me. But anyway, it was super cool to do this with my older brother. Now, I got some pictures I'll roll in as I'm talking about it with me and my brother when we were making this stuff. As I'm talking about this, I'll throw them up here somewhere, and you guys can see pictures of my older brother and me doing a forge and seeing this blade before it ever got a handle on it. I also made the little leather sheath that goes for it and stuff. But it was a super cool experience to actually learn how to make a blade from start to finish, taking just a raw piece of steel, hammering it out into the shape and design you were doing, putting the edge of the blade on it, putting the handles on it, doing the handle scales and everything. Now this by no means is some perfect masterpiece of a knife, and it's got a ton of flaws in it. But I love it because I made it myself. Like, I did this myself. And it took me a while because I have injuries and stuff. And I'm not going to get into the injuries I have, but I have some pretty severe injuries. I only have about 50% strength maybe in my right side. So I don't have a lot of strength over here. But I had to hold that thing with the tongs while I'm hitting it and heating it and stuff. And so it took a lot. So it took me a lot longer than most people to actually forge this knife. It was months of me going in and doing it just once a week. We'd go and working on this blade to get it where it's at. And this was my first design, and I thought it was cool. And I'm hoping I'm going to redesign it a little bit, but I'm hoping to do a production run of a knife similar to this. But I wanted to show it to you guys to see what you guys think about the design and the shape that I came up with, because I thought this would be a good all-around outdoors knife, skinning knife, just do it all kind of knife. It's a flat grind because I like flat grinds. And it was just a super cool process to do this knife and actually get to do it with my older brother, and it was a lot of fun. And when I finally got it finished, it was super cool. And like I said, it's not anything, it's got some serious flaws in it and stuff, but it was super cool to do. And I actually I like it the way it is because it has that just good rustic look. So let me show you what the blade looks like. This is the blade that I did, and it's about a 4-inch blade. Let me see, let me get out my Joker Pantera. So yeah, so it's about the same length as that, so that's like 3.75 4-inch blade on it, but the handle's a little bit shorter than I wanted. I actually wanted a handle about this long and about this thick, but this is what I did because it's my first knife. You know, the handle fits my hand fine. Like, my hand fits in there just fine. But it was a super cool knife to do, and it was so much fun to do. And this knife is actually, I know I just blasted a bunch of wood around here, but this knife is actually pretty darn sharp and does really well with a lot of things. And I wanted this belly cut because I was thinking about skinning. When you're skinning and you have a blade roll like that, when you're skinning down, that blade can roll, and it gives you a lot more cut as you're skinning and stuff. But then if you're doing a push cut, you can push through. Like, let me see if I got a stick or something laying around here that I can actually show you guys that on. Yeah, there might be one right here, so stick that in there. And there's a stick over here. Sorry about me, I'm trying not to fall over here. But yeah, like doing a push cut, if you're doing a push cut, you can just, because of the belly cut, you can just push through and snap that off like that. And that was kind of my thought process, is that you can really just push on that with that curve and do some pretty cool cutting. So that was my thought process on it. Let me see what else I got laying around here, because I was slinging a bunch of stuff for another video. But as far as, well, let me just grab this stick right here. We'll see what we can do with this, because this is a pretty big log, and we'll just see, just to show you like some of the, this little thing can really shave off some stuff once you catch that edge. Shave off some curls off of this. And I just shaved off some curls there. But there's a couple of little curls that you can do with it. And it's just a cool little blade. And it's got a good little edge on it. And it's very easy to sharpen. And it was just something fun to do. This is a really hard piece of wood. Let's see if we can get a long, there we go, there's a long one. So yeah, and this is just my own design, you know. And it's kind of cool. Enough of that. Enough of playing with that. But it was just kind of cool to make your own knife. And there's something about hand forging your own knife and creating your own blade. And I like that kind of curved handle like that, because I just feel like that gives you just a good grip, solid grip on it. And I don't like a blade that's too big. So this length is actually one of my favorite size. But this was just the design I came up with. It was super cool. I mean, it's nothing special. It's a full tang. You can see that it's a full tang blade and stuff. This is a wood handle. I don't even know what kind of wood I ended up using on this, but you guys can see some blemishes in my handle right there, but I don't care because it was super cool. And I wanted this handle to be thick enough to where it feels like I got a knife on you guys, excuse me. But that's a big deal to me, is like you feel like you actually got something to hold on to. But I really enjoyed making this with my brother, and I thought it was super cool. And I just wanted to show you guys that I actually have hand forged my own blade before. It was a lot of fun to learn how to do. I'm gonna tell you right now, I got mad respect for people that hand forge knives after learning how to do that, because it's not an easy process, and it makes you understand why knives cost what they do. And when you can find knives that are more budget friendly, you're like, wow, that's crazy, because hand forging is different than guys machining them through the machines and laser cutting out the blanks and then sharpening them up and stuff. That's a whole different deal. But one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to make the point on this a little bit more pointy and stuff, and cut this back a little bit more so it has more of a point on it, so you've got more of a stabbing point as well for doing finer stuff. And I wanted to make the belly maybe a little bit smaller, maybe not quite as wide, but I actually do like how it drops down. So maybe that's a extended out kind of and bring it out a little bit type thing. I don't know. I want to work on some drawings with it because I don't want the blade to get bigger. That's the thing. I don't want it to get bigger, but I do like the design, and so I want to like hone this in. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about this design, because if you guys thought this would be a cool little type skinning knife, if you thought something like that would be something you like. For me, this was just like, over the years of doing stuff, I just came up with this idea because, you know, being able to do certain things and do certain cuts and stuff, I thought that might be a cool design. What I might do is straighten out this curve and put more of the curve in this part of it. I mean, sorry, you guys can't even see what I'm talking about, but like straighten this out a little bit and then put more of a curve down here towards the front, you know, and take off some of this top curve. But it was just a cool design that I really wanted to try out, and you know, it was cool to be able to hand forge it and make it with my brother. And this is the knife that I actually made. I made this thing from scratch. This thing was just a straight piece of metal until I got a hold of it, and I made that. And think it's pretty cool. And yeah, it's been beat up, it's dirty, because I actually do use it and stuff, and it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but you know what, I still think it's cool. And I love seeing a good old knife that's done like that. You know, I like seeing something like that that's been used and it's still functioning after all this time, you know. So, and it's a good little knife, and it's a great little backup knife. I like it. I like the design. It's nice and small. And then I made this nice sheath that goes with it, and it works really well for what it is. My little knife pops right in there and goes in there, and I put a double snap on it because I like double snaps. I just like making sure my stuff's secure. And that's my little hand forged custom knife that I made myself, and it's kind of cool. So I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought it was super cool that I actually hand forged one myself. I learned a lot. I learned a whole lot making this, and I learned and have mad respect for anybody that hand forges blades. After doing this, let me tell you what, I have mad respect for them, and I understand the hours that are involved and the days and the weeks and the months that are involved to hand forge one blade. You know, now I know some guys can do it a lot quicker, but you know, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into just making one knife. And the guys that are doing production runs and stuff, it's a lot of work, and it's hot and it's physical, and it's pretty intense, but it's gratifying in the same aspect, because when you finally get it done, you get to see your finished product. It's super cool. So, you know, I just wanted to show that to you guys and show you guys that I actually have hand forged my own knife, and it was actually pretty cool to do. And if you guys live in the state of Virginia, somewhere near Fredericksburg, and you're a veteran, check out Black Horse Forge. Look them up online, and they have classes all the time that you can go in and you can learn how to do it yourself. You know, it's a pretty cool deal. And then if you guys are interested in checking out my brother's line of knives, it's called Jackalope Knives. I'll put a link down below to his website, and you can also find his knives, Jackalope Knives, at Smoky Mountain Knife Works as well, which is pretty cool. And maybe I'll be doing some reviews on some of his knives in the future. I've kind of currently, we've talked about it a little bit and stuff, but I always want to review stuff that, you know, I use, you know, and that's a big thing for me. But I do like his designs and stuff, and we've talked about it, so he might be sending me a few to showcase for you guys and show you guys what he makes. So hopefully I'll get a few of those in my hand, and be able to show you those Jackalope knives in person. He's been real busy since he got things going and stuff, and I don't try to ask him for things and stuff. I mean, even though he's my brother and he'd give me his shirt off his back, I don't ask for stuff for free from anybody. You know, that's just not how I roll with stuff. You know, if he wants to give them to me, he will, and we'll showcase them and stuff. And he's actually given me some production ones when he first started that I do have to mess with and play with. He gave me a few production ones. Maybe I'll show you guys those production ones that he gave me. They're not production, prototypes. He gave me some prototype beginning ones that he started with, and some first production run ones. I got two, and then he did a custom one for my wife that he did, which was really cool. So maybe I'll show you those guys, but we talked about it, and he said he would rather send me some of his current stuff that he's doing if I'm going to do any type of reviews, so you guys can see what he's got going on now from what he was doing a few years ago. So we'll see how that pans out. You know, hopefully we can get something done there and showcase his knives, because I love my brother to death, and he actually makes some pretty cool knives. So it'd be cool to get a few on the channel. So we'll see how that works out. But I really did enjoy making this with him. It was super awesome, and he makes some really cool knives. The Jackalope knives are super cool. I really like the designs he's come out with, and I think they're going to do really well. So definitely give those a look too, and see what you guys think about his knives. And you know, questions and comments, leave them down below. And any of you guys that have actually hand forged a knife yourself, I'd love to hear your stories, or just tell me that you have, and what that was like for you. I can tell you that I'm never going to do this again. I'm going to get somebody else to do it, because it was way too much for me with my injuries. It was way too much for me to do. But it is cool that I actually did do it once, and I do have this as a memento of doing that, and it's something that I'm always going to cherish, because I got to do it with my brother. So super cool to be able to do that. So anyway, that's enough of me rambling on and stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.